Going on YouTube, Cloverbells here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be spotlighting and building with Palafin for the upcoming Regulation H format. So, once upon a time, there once was a Pokemon called Urshifu that reigned supreme amongst the water types for about a good year now, okay? But now with Regulation H, coming in the next 3 weeks or so, Urshifu is in fact banned. So now we need a new king, okay? And Palafin is one of those candidates for that position. He's going to have some competitors, which we'll talk about in another video as far as like what are some other water types that you can use for your teams. Palafin is one of them, okay? And of course, people are rejoicing because yes, Palafin was an old favorite, and now you get to use it again because once Urshifu came into play, Palafin just dropped off the face of the earth. There was no real reason to use that as opposed to something like Urshifu. But now that Urshifu is out of the fray, now we can use this thing. And, Zero to Hero is a fun ability because, again, once you pivot it out and back in, and by when I say that, I meant, using the baby form, you have to pivot it out, and then it becomes this thing, okay? So then now you have something with base 160 attack, okay, and then pretty good speed, base 100 speed, and then pretty good bulk in the HP margin, right? 100, and the bulk is not too bad, from the defenses, okay? 97 defense is still pretty solid. 87 defense, about average, right? A little bit above average, not too bad. So Palafin's a good Pokemon, just good stats overall, and really what you need to do is just capitalize off of its two moves, Wave Crash, which does a ton of damage, as well as Jet Punch, priority base power 60, okay, which is good. You can snipe a lot of things, especially when you're in the rain with something like Pelipper. And sometimes, once you have this, you can one-shot a lot of different Pokemon. Like even Incineroar sometimes just doesn't want to take a Jet Punch in the rain. It's too much damage, so be aware of that. Now from here, where you take your next moves, just really depends on the set here. Right, if you have a Mystic Water, obviously Protect can come in here in that last slot. But then you have some other options. Popular one is Haze, of course. Just to wipe away Intimidate debuffs and also wipe away Dondozo buffs, because again, that's going to be a thing that you have to worry about later on. You can also opt for something like Substitute here. I think this is also pretty nice. Just being able to click that, in Trick Room matchups, and just being able to sit there and click Wave Crashes and Dead Punches is also pretty good, right? So then from there, you can also opt for, fighting moves. You can do something like Close Combat, which is kind of funny. You can also do Drain Punch stuff, right? This thing also gets Bulk Up, right? So you can even do like Bulk Up Palafin if you want, right? So those are relatively niche sets, but I do think the standard one, right now is, Mystic Water, Wave Crash, Jet Punch, Haze, Protect. Now, that being said, there's a secondary item you can use. Some people like Choice Band here, which is also totally fine. But then if you do this, then you're going to see stuff like Flip Turn, right? Where you're just going to be able to flip and deal some damage, pivot out, pivot something back in, and then come back later as Palafin Hero, right? So you can definitely do a Choice Band set if you so choose. But again, at the moment, I do like just having Haze, just being able to remove the changes, I think is quite important in the grand scheme of things, right? Especially when things are setting up going for Iron Defense body presses or even like Arkelid and stuff, racking up all those defense boosts. So Haze is really good at removing that if you need to, right? And then of course Pelipper, just allowing it to boost its damage in the ring, okay? So let's say you go this route. Where do you go from here? How else do you want to build the team? So a couple things you want to consider is Palafin's weaknesses, right? You're a water type, which means you're weak to grass, you're weak to electric. So you want things that can at least resist that. So this way you can pivot out into those Pokemon and, have a little bit more pressure or be in a better position next turn. So something that can resist grass or electric, right? So this is why something like a dragon type is really good with Palafin, because dragons are able to resist grass types. They're also able to resist electric types. So, you'll typically see Palafin on dragon teams or dragon cores as part of a fire, water, grass core with that dragon type there. So we're going to take a look at some of those teams, but also a fire, water, grass core would help too. So something like Incineroar, okay, and even something like Rillaboom are also really nice, / Amoongus, okay. This is a really good balanced fire, water, grass card that you can start with, right? So Palafin plus, Incin, Rillaboom. Again, the whole idea is, with Parting Shot and access to U-Turn, along with Fake Out Pressure, what you can do turn one is switch out the Palafin, okay, and then go for a parting shot or a U-turn, and then bring back Palafin at the end of the turn, and then it's already in its hero form by the time the next turn starts. So that's really good. So, and then at the same time, you get to support, you know, with the Intimidate, of course, and like we said, the double fake out pressure is really, really nice. Okay, so that is also really good. Now, again, you can also fit in a dragon on this team, right? So you kind of have to pick one of these grass types and then pick a dragon type. But also, my recommendation, you know, since you have a Pelipper, if you choose to go to Pelipper route, is to put a steel type. So something like Gholdengo or even maybe a King Gambit will also suffice. Those are just a couple of examples, right? But as far as like the core, I think I like Amoongus just a little bit more. So I do like this core. Okay, and then from here, we will pick a dragon type, and then we'll probably pick a steel type. But you know, we'll take a look at what the data says. Okay, so we're gonna look at some recent tournaments from the Limitless website. We'll also take a look at LabMouse and see what data we can get from there, just to see what kind of information Palafin has right now. All right, so let's take a look. So I want to go into the LabMouse website first. So remember when we invited Tim onto the channel and he showed us a little bit of the nuances of the website. So this way you can look at data and see what are some common things, you know, being used in terms of usage rates, some trends, okay? And then that'll help you, you know, with your team building process, right? So let's look at the Nino Tour. It was a 130-person tournament, right? And from here, what we can do is go down to Palafin. We can click on Palafin, and now we get all this information, right? So we can get moves, usage, the percentage uses, right? And then from there, common teammates. So look at this, Jet Punch, Wave Crash. Of course, those are, you know, either way, those are your two staples, okay? Then Protect comes in 93%. So that means these are not choice banded Palafins, okay? And then from there, Haze was the secondary move after that, right? So Haze, very, very common. And then look at that. There's the niche close combat and substitute that we talked about, and then there's the occasional flip turn. Those are your banded Palafins, I would imagine. Then you have some other niche stuff, like there's the bulk up, right? We talked about that a little bit, but you know, for the most part, this is the most common stuff. Mystic Water was the common item. After that, Clear Amulet, so that makes sense, right? Because one way to really mitigate Palafin's damage is to intimidate it, so perhaps Clear Amulet is another niche item you can also consider, right? So, and then there's that one choice band player, right, in this tournament. But look at the teammates, right? Incin, a steel type, you know, grass type with Pelipper, right? And that's pretty much the core we're probably going to be using. So Fire Water Grass core and Pelipper, you know, only 31% though. I thought it would be a little bit higher, but that just goes to show you that there's many ways to build Palafin, and you don't necessarily need to build Palafin, right? You can just easily slap it onto a lot of different teams and it just works, right? It's very splashable, similar to how Urshifu was, okay? Because it is just that good. You know, some other common teammates, you know, Mouse Ape stuff, of course. Mouse Ape was a very, very common duo here. And then there's a couple of dragons here. Look at this. Yeah, Palafin has a lot of dragons, and it makes sense, right? We talked about it. You know, resists those two weaknesses, grass and electric. So look at this. Archeladon, Hydreigon, Baxcalibur, Dragapult. So these are all very, very good options to have with Palafin, right? So I like this a lot. Okay, so that's good information. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of these tournament sites. We're going to look at Limitless and just see what people have been using with Palafin just as a whole in terms of a 6. I'm going to look at the Beanie Brawl tournament first because that was the first tournament, the largest one prior to the Nino Tour. So look at this. Now let's look at Palafin. Let's look at some of these teams here. So let's look at Rain Candy Luca here. Again, we talked about this with Archeladon, but look at this. Incin, you know, Rillaboom, Pelipper, Palafin, right? There's your core. Then you slap on a dragon like Archeladon, and here's your last slot here with Flamigo. So a fighting type is important now because you need this for mirror matchups into Archeladon. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to deal like big, super effective damage to it if you don't have a Blood Moon or Saluna. So this is a very common thing to do. And there's the Clear Amulet Palafin like we talked about there. Instead of the Mystic Water, this still makes sense. I like it a lot. So do with it with what you will. Then we go back here, look at this, another dragon type. Here's that Dragapult set from Schneip. We talked about this in the Archeladon video, this double dragon core. By the way, that'll probably be another video. You know, a lot more double dragon teams are coming back for good reason. But again, same idea here, another Clear Amulet Palafin as opposed to Mystic Water. Rillaboom, Incin, Pelipper, there's your core. And then slap on a dragon and then have one more niche option here, right? And in this case, you could argue whether it be Archeladon or Dragapult here. But again, we see the common theme here. And then this one's a little bit more standard, okay? You know, again, but the whole difference here, there's that Gholdengo, is the Porygon here, you know, giving you the Trick Room option, which is kind of cool, okay? Terra Blast, Terra Poison, okay? That's going to be interesting later on. But Ice Beam, again, very good against other dragons, good against grass types, good against some other flying types. But here's a Mystic Water Palafin with Haze, all right? And then from there, you have your Incineroar Amoongus backbone with Pelipper, you know, with Tailwind and Wyguard stuff there. No Protect on the Pelipper here. But that's pretty good. Again, I like Gholdengo too with Palafin stuff, so that's also an option. How about this one over here? This one, again, Incineroar Amoongus, Palafin, Gholdengo. There's your core 4. No Pelipper, but instead we're going a Trick Room route with Mimikyu and Ursaluna. That's also another way to consider that. So that's pretty cool. Now this one over here, I think they had an early drop, but I did want to bring this up. So look at this. How about Baxcalibur, again, as another dragon that can be used with Palafin. Again, because Baxcalibur looks really good, you know, against Rillaboom, you know, putting on ice damage pressure. It's a dragon type also. You know, Glaive Rush does a ton of damage, you know, into other dragons especially, or just like neutral hits altogether. But Terra Poison going to be needed, you know, to resist the fighting weakness, I think. And again, there's that Gholdengo idea here. And this is Clefairy. Is there setup here? No, there isn't. And then there's an Arcanine here. This looks like a somewhat of an older team. But hey, it works. So I like that. How about here in Reg 8 Showdown? This one was somewhat of a smaller tour. But there was some other Palafin teams that I did want to note here. Particularly this one. All right, the winning team, right? Again, there's that core. There's that Baxcalibur core with Palafin, Incin, and Rillaboom. There's an Ursaluna here, but no Tailwind or Trick Room, so that's an interesting choice. But hey, look, they were able to make it work. You probably just bring this into a Trick Room matchup and have them set Trick Room for you. But this also makes sense. I like this. There's Mystic Water, of course. Then if we go into the Nino Tour, if we click Palafin here, we talked about this before, but you know, this was Penguin's team. You know, again, just having Maushold here along with Amoongus, so you have double redirection here. But this is Bandit Palafin, so you can even go that direction if you want. You know, with Jet Punch, Wave Crash, Flip Turn, and CC, so you can definitely consider that. That's one option there. This one, okay, again with Maushold and Annihilate, we talked about this in the previous video. Palafin also just fits here, you know, with the Pelipper Gholdengo core along with a grass type. That's also another way to consider it. And then how about this one? Yeah, this one's actually one of my favorite teams. I've had this in the builder for a bit, but I just like how this team functions. You know, Hydreigon here with Gholdengo, Sylveon, and then Palafin, Incineroar Amoongus, right? So Dragon, Fairy, Steel, Fire, Water, Grass core. I like this a lot. You know, I'd probably change some of the sets here, but you know, Crit Hydreigon is also really strong. You know, you don't really care about support, you know, Snarl stuff. You can just deal damage and immediately remove threats. And then Palafin can potentially just clean up in endgame stuff, right? I like the Sylveon set, by the way. Like Baby Doll, the Eyes, and Yawn. That's pretty cool, too. So this is a nice team. I know it was only 4-3, but the concept is there. How about this one from Baxcalibur? Look at this. You know, Alolan Ninetales, Baxcalibur. No Pelipper needed. We're going with a Hail Screens team. And then have Palafin click Substitute behind screens, just clicking Wave Crashes and Jet Punches. That's also pretty cool. And then, of course, the standard Incineroar Amoongus Gholdengo, right? So this is pretty cool. Again, just so many different ways to really build it. So hopefully this gives you a nice little perspective into how to really use it. But again, the formula is pretty much the same. You know, you have this Fire, Water, Grass core here with Palafin, Incineroar Amoongus. And then Pelipper, if you want to go that route, will make Palafin do more damage. Gives you also weather control. Gives you Tailwind as well. So we'll go that direction. We're going to pick a dragon type and probably just Gholdengo here. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to put Gholdengo here. Does well with the Amoongus anyway. And again, also does well with Tailwind. And I think the dragon that we're going to go with, you know, considering Arkeladon, Dragapult, Dragon Knight, and Baxcalibur. I think Baxcalibur just works. I like Bax. You know, Bax has always done well on some of these rain teams, so I do like that, and I like this core, and you know, it just works. Like Gholdengo is going to be really good in a lot of different matchups, especially on a team like this. So yeah, if you just look at it, like we have two dominant physical attackers, we have the defensive backbone with Incineroar Amoongus, and we have some special attackers in Pelipper and Gholdengo. So a little bit of balance. which is what we want, right? So let's build this team. So from here, let's go ahead and round out the squad and then give out some EV spreads. Okay, so we've already got our Palafin set here. I think Terra Water is still pretty solid, you know, just to have a little bit more extra damage, especially with jet punches, right? So I think that's okay. Here we go pretty standard with Weather Ball and Hurricane, of course. And then Protect here, along with a Focus Sash, and of course, bringing out the Rain. Now, that being said, if you are worried about spread moves, some stuff like, you know, Expanding Force, Side Spam stuff, you can definitely just opt for Wide Guard here. Especially against Make It Rain, that's also something that you can be concerned about. You know, just go with that. I think Wide Guard is still very much valid. Not as much as Regulation G by any means, and it's not necessarily needed. But you know, if you want it, it's still okay to have. I think it's still a viable move in this format, of course, just not as much as Regulation G. But I like Protect, so I'm gonna go with Protect here. I'm gonna go Terra Ghost, because we don't want our Pelipper faked out some games. Incin here, we're going to go Safety Goggles because we hate Amoongus. Intimidate, right, is going to be pretty standard. And then, of course, just the fake out pressure along with the knockoff. Removing key items. If you can remove an Assault Vest from an important Pokemon like our Keladin, then, you know, stuff like Gholdengo can just potentially sweep it, because our Keladin's special defense is not that good without that Assault Vest. So, yeah, that. And then also from here, you can just go Will-O-Wisp. You know, getting that key burn on an important Pokemon is going to be important. It just wins you the game, because then it just sits there not dealing damage. You can almost just leave it there and, you know, make your opponent have to switch it out and then be in a worse position, right? So I do like Willows for that reason. And then, of course, Amoongus, you know, just, again, Rage Powder, Spore, Pollen Puff, and then Protect. Now, that being said, you can opt for Clear Smog on something like this, or even Sludge Bomb to be able to, you know, remove those buffs. But if you have Haze, I don't think you need Clear Smog on Amoongus. Then from here, I think Rocky Helmet is good. By the way, Citrus Berry is definitely viable yet again, so you can definitely go the Citrus Berry route, because again, the Calyxes are gone, so you can eat your berries again. So if you want to go that direction, that's also fine. I liked Rocky Helmet, so I'm gonna put it right back on there. And then of course Terra Waters is also pretty solid. And then the Incin, again, the Ghost is also pretty good. You dodge another fake out, you whiff a body press. Ghost is pretty good on something like Incin right now. Speaking of Ghost, we got our own Ghost right here. You know, Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, you know, Nasty Plot, and then Protect, of course, is a very standard set. Now, the item here, because we have Protect, we're not going specs. You can go Citrus Berry here, right? You can get some recovery, you can be super bulky, but you can also go Leftovers here, along with the Nasty Plot. That's also fine. But for us, we like Life Orb right now. Why? Because we can surprise the opponent. Because, you know, if we have Life Orb and Nasty Plot, you know, we have the option to either set up or just deal immediate damage. Okay. And sometimes that 50-50 is going to make or break a game. And I like just going raw damage sometimes. So, you know, with that Life Orb. And that means, you know, your opponent has to kind of respect it a little bit, right? So I like that. And then how about Terra Dragon Gholdengo? You know, I do like this. You know, again, resist fire types, of course. You neutralize your weaknesses to Ghost and Dark, okay, and Ground. So I do like that for that reason. Steel types always like Dragon. You know, it's always good for them because, again, that fire weakness is not good. But again, Gholdengo has a mitigated fire weakness anyway because you have Pelipper. But sometimes you don't bring the Pelipper, right? So I do like having Terra Dragon this time around. Otherwise, you can also just go Terra Water Gholdengo here. The same reason. Again, mitigate that fire weakness, neutralize your other weaknesses. That's also fine. But again, Dragon can also do that for you as well. So, you know, do with it with what you will. But I'll leave it as Terra Dragon for now. All right, Baxcalibur. This is going to get the Clear Amulet. And then, of course, Glaive Rush, Icicle Crash. Don't miss, by the way. Okay. And then your last slot, Protect. Now, here you can go a couple routes. You can go Swords Dance, Baxcalibur, you know, to also set up, you know, with the Amoongus. You can do that direction, or you can just go Ice Shard for priority pressure, right? So sometimes that helps too. I like the Ice Shard right now, so I went with that. And then, of course, here we can just go Terra Poison here. I think Poison, again, resisting that fighting weakness, and as well as that fairy weakness is also going to be good, right? Especially against those Sylveon games. So this is the team. I just want to check the terras here. So now let's go ahead, let's create some EV spreads and let's test it out a little bit in some battles. Okay, let's start here with Palafin. And again, remember, you're going to start off in baby form, but of course we're going to EV the hero form just to show you what we want here. So, you know, this is a lot of attack. And because of that, the way I like to build teams like that, Pokemon like this, is if I have so much attack, do I really need max attack? Okay, sometimes I might just be overkilling things, especially now that there's no more legendaries. So, you know, things are a little bit weaker in terms of power creep. So I think I just want the second EV bump here, right? I think I just want Adamant 156. And once again, here's my little announcement. You know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, if you want to get better at team building, and if you want to understand a little bit more on how to create EV spreads for Pokemon, make sure you comment below what are EV bumps, because I feel like they're a very fundamental thing to understand in terms of creating EV spreads. And if you don't know what bumps are, make sure you comment below asking what are EV bumps. I will respond to you, and hopefully that information will help you in creating your own spreads for your own Pokemon later on. Okay, but we're gonna go to the second bump here in Adamant 156. For our speed tier, which is usually what I like to do first, I'm just gonna go 140. So this way we outspeed other Baxcaliburs, you know, that are Adamant max speed but not Jolly. So they hit 139. I'm gonna make mine go to 140, right? So we can understand some speed tiers, especially when we go against another Baxcalibur. So I like that, and then from there, just put 1 point in the bulk, and then just literally dump the rest here into HP, right? So we have some decent bulk here with the HP number and some speed, right? So you can also win the Palafin mirror this way, unless they just go, you know, Adamant max speed, but then you'll know, right? And then from here, Pelipper, again, I just like going with the 252 stuff with a Focus Sash Pokemon here. I do like Timid, 128. So again, 129 is another speed tier you can also go for, all things considered. And then, you know, on some other teams, if you want to respect max speed, Timid, Pelipper. Incin, I just keep this thing pretty standard. I just go Careful Nature, you know, with just the second bump here, which is about also 156. And then just almost max HP here, right there. 1 point in the attack, a little bit of speed. Maybe about 36 is good enough. Again, under Tailwind, I hit 190. I might go a little bit faster because there's some other interesting speed tiers after that. You know, some things are a little bit faster than 190, but we'll consider that when the time comes. But for now, I think 85 is okay. And then just dump the rest here into defense, right? Amoongus, again, I just want to optimize Regenerator Recovery. I'm going to go Relax Nature for now. And then from here, again, 219 is the magic number. Again, that's going to give you the optimal Regenerator Recovery, you know, after you do a little bit of math. 1/3 of your max HP, 73 perfect recovery. If you have 218 or 220, now you're going to get decimals. Now you're rounding down. You're wasting your EVs there. Let's go to 219 here. If you have the berry, I go 220. But because I don't have the berry, I'm going to go 219. And again, I'm going to hit that bump. And then just dump the rest here into special defense. Just a nice bulky mushroom here. Gholdengo. All right, this one, I'm going to go modest. And I'm going to go 124 just to outspeed the max speed Incineroars if they are still running around. Okay, this was a thing back in Regulation G. I'm not sure if they are still a thing right now. I know some people are trying it, but I don't know if it's common enough or we have to respect it. But for now, we will respect it. And we'll make changes later on when we make this into a rental come September, right? So then from here, I'm just going to go second benchmark here into the Modest Nature. And then let's optimize the Life Orb chip. Let's go to 189, and it just all works out, right? Because then from here, 1 point in the bulk. And again, I'm ending in a 9 here in the HP number, right? Because I have the Life Orb. I'm taking 1/10 of my max HP, okay? If I didn't do this, right, then I'm taking extra Life Orb chip, right? If I go 190, I'm taking 19 damage per turn. If I undercut the threshold by 1, 18.9 rounds down to 18. So I'm taking 1 less HP per turn when I end my HP with the value of 9 at the end. All right, so there's that. Baxcalibur, another one. So like I said with the Pelipper, you know, I just want to outspeed those Pelippers, so I'm just going to go 129 here. I think that's pretty good here. And then if anything, you can even go 130. You can do 1 point more. And then literally, let's hit the benchmark here with 196. You know, again, 207 going to 209. The attack went up by 2 points. Dump the rest here into HP, right? And I'm a little bit short of the grassy terrain recovery, but that's okay. You know, sometimes you have to forego the optimization if you need to achieve the speed tier that you want. All right, so that's our back spread. And that's pretty much it, right? You know, again, this is just like some general stuff that we can use immediately, jump on the ladder, test things, and make changes later on. But as far as like a starting point, I think this is easily what you want to do. Okay, so in Trick Room games, you know, Amoongus is definitely going to come for sure, right? And same with Pelipper. I think Pelipper, you know, having weather control against those Torkoal teams are also going to be good. You know, against Arkelid and stuff, I think Gholdengo has to come for sure. You know, because again, it's your only real special attacker that can really do damage to it. So you're going to need to make sure you preserve it very, very well. And Palafin in the end game, especially with Pelipper range, is going to do a ton of damage, especially under Tailwind. So if you can position that well enough, that's also good. Same thing with Amoongus. You can heal your team and then just spore things. So that's also going to be very, very useful. All right, so let's take a look at some battles and let's see how we play them. And let's see if we can recap it at the end. All right, let's take a look. Okay, perfect. We have our first Arkelid team, and this is one of the premier teams right now. It was used in the Nino Tour, and you're going to see it a lot on ladder in the early get-go, right? So it's going to be Incin, Amoongus, Pelipper with Arkelid, and your water type of choice is not Palafin, but it is going to be the Baxcalibur. This is also how we built our squad. There is a Murkrow on this team, you know, with Haze pressure, so that's okay, and also Quash and another Tailwind setter. So this might be your Wide Guard user as opposed to having Tailwind on the Pelipper. Who knows, right? So, but from here, I still think Gholdengo looks really good. Again, especially against Arkelid. And I'll show you how to play this matchup, right? So I want to lead very simply. So he's going to bring Arkelid and Amoongus. That's fine. I'm going to go Amoongus, and I'm going to go my Baxcalibur here, right? So I'm going to try and force him to make a choice here. This is why I went into Gholdengo. He went for the greedy body press. He went for Spore. I figured he might try that. And then I go for Spore here. So he can't go Terra Grass, right? Because I have a Baxcalibur. That just wouldn't make sense. So that's why I made that play. And now I'm in a really good spot because now I can just set up nasty plots here. He's forced to switch. Amoongus is not doing anything for him that turn. And now Bax is in a really good spot here. I'm just going to go Glaive Rush. And I'm, of course, just going to chip it with the Shadow Ball here. And I noticed my Gholdengo outsped his Pelipper. So that might make me think that he was modest. And there is the Tailwind, right? So that's good. All right, there's Baxcalibur. So now I'm just going to go into Incin, Intimidate it. Okay, he goes Terra Water Baxcalibur. I'm going to go Terra Dragon. This Baxcalibur is now -1. Last Respect still does a lot of damage, okay, but it's fine. And again, this is why Terra Dragon is so good. You're able to resist, you know, the Fire Water Grass Scuff. And now I just remove Baxcalibur and Baxcalibur immediately. That's all of his pressure. He has nothing left, really. He just has a bunch of support options. And I still have all 4 of everything. He does a lot of damage into my Incineroar, but again, that's still fine. You know, Gholdengo and Baxcalibur have already done their job. I just want to remove the key on him on the Amoongus there, and, you know, just deal enough chip damage where I can put pressure next turn. All right. Weather Ball does pick up Gholdengo. I thought I might try and live it, but I didn't. And now it's still fine, right? Because now I get a free switch into my Baxcalibur. It's pretty much over at this point. Right, he protects there. It doesn't really matter. I just click Ice Go Crash. This Amoongus definitely dies. You know, sometimes they want an EV for that, but because we chipped it, he can't live it anymore. And now it's over, right? Now we just click Glaive Rush, and now we can click Spore if we want. He does Hurricane there. He doesn't even kill. And even if he did, we still have, you know, 2 more options in the back, right? So I'm gonna go into Incin now, and now we just kind of win. Because after that, Baxcalibur just cleans up with Glaive Rush, right? So very easy, very standard game. But it was all because of that turn 1 play where, again, I wanted to leave Baxcalibur into that kind of team because I wanted to make him make a choice, okay? Because, you know, if he goes Terra Grass to resist the Spore, he's weak to Baxcalibur, right? So I knew he probably wouldn't make that play, which gave me the chance to go into Gholdengo that turn just in case he got greedy. And then I was just able to Spore it and then have good value next turn. So make sure you try and go for that play if you want. But, you know, just be aware of how your opponent responds in the following game if it is a best of 3, right? All right, this is another Arkelid variation. This is a little bit more weirder, but he's got a couple of fighting types here. All right, so, you know, Pelipper looks really good here because he has 1, 2, 3 weaknesses to flying, okay, which is kind of good for me. Palafin could probably do something here, especially if he's got his Hisuian Typhlosion there. And, you know, the Scrafty, even if we don't get intimidated, I think it could do something there later on. But Gholdengo also looks good here against these fighting types. And again, like we mentioned, of course, against Archeladin, it's just all how we position it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this. So let's see how we play this. So I'm gonna go Pelipper Palafin here, okay? And he decides to go Whimsicott, his own Tailwind user, and a Scrafty here. So Intimidate, I know he's got Fake Out Pressure, so I kind of want to just scout here. I'm just gonna double protect and see what he does. If he Tailwinds now, he kind of just burns a turn, right? So I don't think he would do that, but he goes for the aggressive play into the Palafin, right? So that's expected. He's going to go into combo here. I wanted to just simply Jet Punch and Hurricane that slot, but the Whimsicott is smart. He has Encore, so, you know, I'm in a interesting spot here. So I kind of have to do a double swap here. So I'm going to go Gholdengo there just in case if he tries to go aggressive into the Palafin with a Body Press. And I'm going to take a risk here and go into Baxcalibur, but he just goes for the Iron Defense there, and he just goes for Tailwind. So that's fine by me. Terra Poison looks good here. He goes for Light Screen. I just wanted to chip the Whimsicott here. I could have also clicked Icicle Crash into combo, but, you know, look how much damage Make It Rain still does, right? That's still doing, you know, almost half the combo. So even if he did not set that Light Screen, then he would have been in an interesting position, right? Because it would have done more than half. But that Whimsicott had no Protect. All right, so I make a mistake here in not protecting my Gholdengo, right? And that's my fault. So I kind of let it die too easily there, and probably would have made this matchup a little bit easier if I protected it and, you know, positioned it better. But this is still winnable. Now I just have to stall his last turn of Tailwind and go for my Tailwind. And I have a Sash on my Pelipper, so it's still okay, right? Because now I can outspeed things. My Baxcalibur does have some speed on it. I know I'm going to outspeed that combo. All right, it's just all about the Typhlosion, okay? And he actually goes for the Baxcalibur, so that means my Pelipper gets to live to tell the tale because I get to click Tailwind, and his Body Press can't KO me, even if he did got me down the Sash, right? So I've got my Tailwind up, all right? Now it's all up to Palafin to save the day, okay? He's going to go into a Scrafty, which is good for him. He's got all the momentum now. He Intimidates, all right? I do decent chip damage there, okay? There's the Citrus, but the Pelipper comes in clutch and removes the combo, even with Light Screen up. Combo's bulk, special defense bulk is just not that good. So that's a key removal there. Now he goes back into Typhlosion here. I have to make one read here. I protect the Palafin. He goes for the Fake Out there, and he actually doubles up. But we just removed the Scrafty. All right, but even if he killed Pelipper there, I still win because Wave Crash in the Rain already just kills him. So even if I'm intimidated, the fact that I'm able to just remove it still is okay. So even if he makes the adjustment and Shadow Balls the Pelipper instead, we still win that matchup because Wave Crash just kills the Typhlosion because it's relatively weak. All right, this one's an interesting one. He's got a Salamence here with Metagross. Remember Metaments back in the day, Bulldoze weakness policy shenanigans? I'm not saying this guy has that, but, you know, it is interesting. But again, he's got Intimidate, he's got Redirection, he has Speed Control here, you know, with Tailwind, Quiver Dance, Volcarona stuff. Clefairy also is relatively annoying. This is a pretty cool team. I like it a lot. But does he have anything for Salamence later? I'm sorry, Baxcalibur, right? So he goes Volcarona and Whimsicott. This is not good for him. Okay, so he switches into Rillaboom. That's still not good for him anyway. All right, so I'm gonna go. At the time, I was testing Terra Fairy, but of course, I ultimately decide Terra Poison. I crit the Whimsicott, but he does have a Sash. All right, and you know he makes a smart swap into Rillaboom. I probably should have just Hurricaned it, you know, just in case, but it's still fine. So I go into Incin, I Intimidate the Rillaboom. All right, he goes Fake Out. I was going to go for Ice Shard there, so that's a good Fake Out from the Rillaboom. He goes for Taunt. Not sure what he was trying to taunt, but he went for Taunt. Okay, maybe, yeah. All right, but there's the Clefairy. That's okay. So I make a good read here. I knew he probably would switch this, so I wanted to at least knock off whatever wanted to switch in. I just removed the Whimsicott. You know, he made a mistake bringing all these ice weaknesses. But Eviolite is gone, which is good for Gholdengo later on, right? So this Clefairy does have Friend Guard, but the Eviolite is just not helping it. Another Fake Out into my Baxcalibur. Okay, that's okay. All right, he goes for Wish. All right, knock off, remove the Assault Vest. I could have also repositioned by going Parting Shot into Gholdengo there. Probably would have been the better play. Okay, so I hard switched into Gholdengo, so I have to delay my turn a little bit. So this is why I think Parting Shot would have been a little bit better, right? So, and then I would have taken reduced damage from high horsepower, right? So another mistake, but it's still winnable here. And now the Volcarona does have a defense boost because of the Grassy Seed, but that's okay. Gholdengo doesn't care about that. I want to go into Pelipper just in case he goes for the fire move now. but there's just a greedy Quiver Dance. I just need to remove the Clefairy, okay, and get Friend Guard out of the picture, which we do, right? So Gholdengo did its job there, and now it's a 4-on-1. Volcarona is going to have its job cut out for him. So I want to get Fake Out Pressure in next turn. He goes Terra Water, Volk. I'm going to protect Pelipper just in case. But he just goes for another Quiver Dance, right? So, okay, sure. So there's a Fake Out. And from here, I just want to just slowly deal chip damage here. But I also want Tailwind up, so this way my options in the back can outspeed him next turn. But he goes for another Quiver Dance, so that's a smart play by him. I probably should have just opted for damage the prior turn. But Knockoff looks really good here. It's my only physical move that I can use. So, you know, he does remove the instant, but look how much damage he's taken, right? So we've overwhelmed him a lot. So even though he's had all these boosts, he can't really do anything with it because he's taken so much damage, right? And he does remove the backs, but, you know, because I still have a Pelipper here, you know, I'm still able to win the game and still have another Pokemon left. You know, just having a lot of our options remove his early threats was good. All right, so there's the pace one more time. So hopefully you get a sense of how the team can play. But again, Baxcalibur is really good. And sometimes you don't even need to bring Palafin, depending on the matchup. Like, you know, Amoongus, Incin, Pelipper, as well as Gholdengo can definitely carry you in a lot of games. But yeah, this is a pretty standard Palafin team. It's at least a decent one to start with. But again, you don't necessarily need to build around Palafin. It's very splashable onto a lot of different teams like we showed from those other squads. So feel free to use it as you wish. But here's a starting point. At least get something going and started so this way you can test and adjust accordingly. All right. But from here, if you're interested in building your own Regulation H team and you need a little bit of help and advice, okay, feel free to sign up for coaching on the channel. Tier 3 sub gets you a one-on-one session with me via Discord call. If you look in the video description below, as well as the pinned comment section, there is a link that you can click that you can use to sign up for Tier 3. And then from there, you can message me on Discord. You can join the Discord, which is also linked in the video description. And then from there, you can message me and then we can plan a time to meet and then get your squad going for how you want it, the way you want it, whether it be for ladder, whether it be for regional play or just simple ladder play. You know, either way, we'll have you covered. All right, but that's it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.